Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, Getting to Know My Father. First of all, everybody, happy holidays. Happy holidays, everyone. I hope everybody's doing good out there. Christmas is literally right around the corner. Which is crazy because that means another year has gone by. 2022 will be here literally before we know it. So it's crazy. But yeah, you guys, I haven't been recording like I wanted to, but I'm back on and hopefully it'll be more consistent this time. Just got busy with life just like everybody else. I know. Not an excuse, but it is what it is. It's the truth, right? I have my little person here with me, my little guy, right? So if y'all hear any cooing or baby talking, it's this little one. Okay, everybody. So let's go ahead and start back with Ecclesiastes. The last time I made a video, I wanted to do Ecclesiastes, but I was not going to read it aloud. But I think I'm going to try something different, and I think I am going to read it aloud. At least I'll do it for this one and a few more videos to come and see how it goes. If I like it, I'll keep doing it. If you guys like it, let me know. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into it. So we are still at Ecclesiastes. We're at chapter 1. And also, if you notice, I do believe this Bible is different from the one that I was using. I still have the other one. The other one I used in my last video was the Tony Evans Study Bible, I believe. If it wasn't the Study Bible, it was his commentary. The Bible with the commentary in it. But this one I'm reading, just testing it out. This came from Joyce Meyer's Ministries. I think I have an unboxing of this too, and I'll put that up because a lot of stuff came with this package, a lot of really nice, cool things. But this Bible here, it is, let's see if you can see this. The NIV Quest Study Bible. And I cannot pronounce that name, if you can see it. And this one has Joyce Meyer's commentary in it. And I just switched up just because I wanted to try something different. I like Joyce Meyer's a lot. Yeah, I wanted to try hers. I like Tony Evans too, don't get me wrong. I just have, quite a few Bibles. And I have quite a few Bibles simply because they're different versions. Like this one is the NIV version. I believe the Tony Evans Bible is the standard Christian version of the Bible. So I like to read the same thing, but just in the different versions, just to see how it's worded differently and to see if I can get anything differently out of it, or if it makes more sense to me, reading one versus the other. So, okay, but yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So, chapter 1. Everything is meaningless. And if y'all remember from last time, Ecclesiastes was supposedly written by King David. And it's pretty much just addressing him feeling or coming to the realization, I guess, that life is meaningless and understanding that life is meaningless and you just have to have God. Like, that's the bottom line. If you don't have God, it's not worth it. It's not going to work. You're going to be miserable in everything you do, which I think is a really good. I think it was good to start back up with this, and I wish I would have started back up with it earlier in the month, because even last month, because about like the holidays coming around, a lot of people get really sad for whatever reason, family issues, things are going on within themselves. Just life, period. And I feel like we all, including myself, we all look to external things or other people to make us happy. And that is not what's going to make us happy. Ultimately, we can have all of that stuff. We can have all these people around us. But if we don't have God in our lives, as believers, I understand there are people out there who don't believe, and I'm not bashing anybody. It is what it is. As believers, I feel as if we need God in our lives or I need God in my life in order for me to be happy, because nothing's just going to keep me satisfied. It is what it is, you know. But okay, sorry guys, let's go ahead and read. Everything is meaningless. The words of the teacher, son of David, king of Jerusalem. Meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher. Utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. What do people gain from all their labors at which they toil under the sun? Generations come and generations go, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun sets and hurries back to where it rises. The wind blows to the south and turns to the north. Round and round it goes. Excuse me. Ever returning on its course. All streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. To the place the streams come from, there they return again. All things are wearisome, more than one can say. The eye never has enough seeing, nor the ear its fill of hearing. What has been will be again. What has done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Is there anything of which one can say, look, this is something new? It was here already, long ago, and was here before our time. No one remembers the former generations, and even those yet to come will not be remembered by those who follow them. So, looking at chapter 1, I'm not finished with chapter 1, but this part of chapter 1, everything is meaningless. Everything is a cycle, pretty much. There's nothing new, and that is a very true statement. And sometimes when I read the Bible, I don't know, like I have this moment where I'm kind of like shocked, because this was written how many years ago? And people were going through the same thing, and people were experiencing this. And look how long it's been since this was written, and we're still going through the same thing. It just goes to tell you there's truth in the Bible. And that's one reason why I know I need to read this Bible a lot more and try my hardest to understand it. But wisdom is meaningless. The teacher was king over Israel in Jerusalem. The teacher, was king over Israel in Jerusalem. So this is what King David is saying. I applied my mind to study and explore by wisdom all that is done under the heavens. What a heavy burden God has laid on mankind. I have seen all the things that are done under the sun. All of them are meaningless, a chasing after the wind. What is crooked cannot be straightened. What is lacking cannot be counted. I said to myself, look, I have increased in wisdom more than anyone who has ruled over Jerusalem before me. I have experienced much of wisdom and knowledge. Then I applied myself to the understanding of wisdom and also of madness and folly. But I learned that this too is a chasing after the wind. For with much knowledge comes much sorrow, and the more knowledge, the more grief. And that is very true. That is very true. The more you know, sometimes the heavier of a burden it can be. When I was younger, I never watched the news. Even though, a teenager, early 20s, it just wasn't my thing. But when I went away to college, my family would always say, you don't watch the news, you got to be careful down there, and stuff like that. And looking back on it, I'm not going to say I was in dangerous situations. No, I'm not going to say that. But I do feel as if I should have really paid more close attention to my surroundings. And, as I got older, I would watch the news. And watching the news, it informs you. Yes, it does. But it can make you scared. At least it did with me. It got to a point where I had to stop watching the news because it was just it wasn't as much positive or good things as it was bad things. You know, somebody was always being robbed. There was always homicides, robbery, sex trafficking, all kinds of stuff. And, you know, don't get me wrong. I understand I do need to be aware of this. But, you know, when I go out now, especially if I go out with my children, I'm not going to say I'm scared, but I'm on edge. Constantly looking around, just making sure, you know, like we're kind of in a safe environment, or I feel like we're kind of like in a safe bubble. But, you know, even with that said, you have to live your life. You can't, you know, stay in the house and, you know, be like a hermit and don't come out. But that is true. Sometimes the more wisdom you have, you know, the more sorrow it can bring. But, you know, what do? You don't have wisdom. You still want to, you know what's going on. But, okay, let's keep on reading. Pleasures are meaningless. I said to myself, come now, I will test you with pleasures to find out what is good. But that also proved to be meaningless. Laughter, I said, is madness. And what does pleasure accomplish? I tried cheering myself with wine and embracing folly, my mind still guiding me with wisdom. I wanted to see what was good for people to do under the heavens during the few days of their lives. I undertook great projects. I built houses for myself and planted vineyards. I made gardens and parks and planted all kinds of fruit trees in them. I made reservoirs to water groves of flourishing trees. I bought male and female slaves and had other slaves who were born in my house. I also owned more herds and flock than anyone in Jerusalem before me. I amassed silver and gold for myself and the treasure of kings and provinces. I acquired male and female singers and a harem as well. The delights of a man's heart. I became greater by far than anyone in Jerusalem before me. In all this my wisdom stayed with me. I denied myself nothing my eyes desired. I refused my heart no pleasure. And this was the reward for all my toil. Yet, when I surveyed all that my hands had done and what I had toiled to achieve, everything was meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Nothing was gained under the sun. So, trying to put this in perspective, like for my life. You know, pretty much this is what I'm doing now. You know, I'm working, always doing something, and, you know, trying to have a good time, I guess, while I'm here. Working to have money to do this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's meaningless. It really is. Yeah, it's crazy. You can have all of the things, that's supposed to make you happy, but at the end of the day, it's still just an emptiness there that those things can't fill. And that is what, he was going through. But, okay, wisdom and folly are meaningless. Then I turned my thoughts to consider wisdom, and also madness and folly. What more can the king's successor do than what has already been done? I saw that wisdom is better than folly, just as light is better than darkness. So even though the more wisdom you have, the more sorrow you tend to have, and the more knowledge you have, the more grief you tend to have, King David did come to the conclusion that wisdom is better than lacking wisdom, just as light is better than the darkness. So it is better to be in the know. The wise have eyes in their head while the fool walks in the darkness. But I came to realize that the same fate overtakes them both. Then I said to myself, the fate of a fool will overtake me also. What then do I gain by being wise? I said to myself, This too is meaningless, for the wise, like the fool, will not be long remembered. The days have already come when both have been forgotten. The days have already come when both have been forgotten. Like the fool, the wise must die too. Like the fool, the wise must too die. And that is a very true statement. I'm not going to say it's depressing, but like, man, that's very true. Very true. You think about some of these extremely, extremely, extremely smart people. They die, just like, some people that you may know, they would be considered to be an ignorant person, or maybe even an uneducated person. But doesn't matter. We're all going to meet the same fate. It doesn't it doesn't matter what you do. If you have knowledge or you don't, you cannot escape that. You're not smart enough with all the knowledge you have to escape that, So, toil is meaningless. So I hated life because the work that is done under the sun was grievous to me. All of it is meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I being too loud? Am I being too loud? Sorry about that, guys. All of this is meaningless, a chasing after the wind. I hated all the things I toiled for under the sun, because I must leave them to the one who comes after me. And who knows whether that person will be wise or foolish. Yet they will have control over all the fruit of my toil, into which I have poured my effort and skill under the sun. This too is meaningless. So my heart began to despair over all of my toilsome labor under the sun. For a person may labor with wisdom, knowledge, and skill, and then they must leave all they own to another who has not toiled for it. This too is meaningless and a great misfortune. What do people get for all their toil and anxious striving with which they labor under the sun? All their days, their work is grief and pain. Even at night, their minds do not rest. This too is meaningless. A person can do nothing better than to eat and drink and find satisfaction in their own toil. This is, I see, is from the hand of God. For without him, who can eat or find enjoyment? So that's very true. Without God, who can eat and find enjoyment? That's very true. Without him, it doesn't matter what I do, I'm not going to have enjoyment. As far as eat, I'm still a little, I don't understand that too much. I'm going to go back and probably read the Tony Evans version of it. And also, what I like about this Bible, guys, you see how she has her commentary here? And that's what I'm probably going to do. I will go back and read her commentary for 24, probably through 26 of chapter 2. But yeah, if anybody else, when you're, going through this studying, if you kind of understand what that means, leave it in the comments as to what you feel it means, at least. Okay, so where did I leave off, y'all? Where did I leave off? Okay, enjoyment. To the person who pleases him, God gives wisdom, knowledge, and happiness. But to the sinner, he gives the task of gathering and storing up wealth to hand over to the one who pleases God. This too is meaningless, a chasing after the wind. So in chapters 1 and 2, pretty much everything is meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Let's go back to chapter 1 real quick. He's just saying everything is meaningless. Everything is just a big cycle that just keeps going around and around and around, and how it can't be changed pretty much. And then this part of chapter 1, he's talking about, being wise really still has no meaning to it. The more you know, the more sorrow that comes with it. the first part of chapter 2, he talks about, the meaningless of pleasures. You go and you do things to try to have enjoyment in life, and really at the end it's still meaningless. The comparison between wisdom and folly or ignorance is the same thing, a lack of good sense. Doesn't matter, because we're all going to meet the same fate in the end. And then the meaningless of a person's toil or hard work. You can work hard, but you can't take it with you. So, and that's an old saying too, you can't take this material stuff with you. So again, the whole theme of the first 2 chapters that I'm seeing is that all of this is meaningless. It's a chasing after the wind, but you do see a glimmer of hope, I believe, in the last part of chapter 2 when he says, God gives us wisdom, and also we find our enjoyment and we can eat through him. So, but that's it, guys. Let me know what you think about this, and have a great day. Thanks.